Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. I'm a little bit sick today, but I will bring you the updates from Istanbul, where the Russian delegation meets the Ukrainian delegation. Obviously, as I said, Putin did not travel to Istanbul, and the mass media does exactly what I told you they will do, and that is portray the Russians, and Putin particularly, as the saboteur of the talks in Istanbul. But we know that Putin has never said once that he's going to travel to Istanbul. Zelensky said he's going to travel to Istanbul. Trump said he might travel to Istanbul. Anyway, I will show you how the media, the so-called free media in the West, is portraying this meeting. I will tell you the delegation coming from the Russians, the delegation comes from the Ukrainians. The Ukrainians claim that the Russian delegation is not a serious one, even though the delegation that was sent by Putin is mostly the same one that showed up in 2022 on April, when they had the first meeting and the last one in Istanbul between the Russian delegation and the Ukrainian delegation. But these guys say it's not serious because Putin is not there, or Lavrov. Lavrov was not in the first delegation in 2022 either. Anyway, I will show you how or what is the one point needed, one thing that's needed, according to Trump, to happen anything. So Trump will say, without this thing, nothing will happen regarding the peace talks in Ukraine. Then we have the NATO Secretary General talking about this. Now remember, Mr. Rutte, the Dutch guy, he's just a secretary. He has a lot of things to do as if he's in charge, as Lavrov said, he's in charge of a big nuclear country, big, important, that he's a secretary. Do you know what a secretary does? A secretary does the following. Is going to take messages for the boss and communicate the messages. Is going to take phone calls for the boss, might schedule meetings for the boss, might go and say the boss said this and the boss said it. He has no other function. This is a secretary. The secretary is a person with no decision making. He has to go and ask the boss, hey boss, are you okay with this meeting? Should I schedule it? It's just how should I put it, a bureaucrat with really no power, has his tasks or being an intermediary. But he acts as if that's his country. NATO says, NATO this. And again, I think he lies by saying that Putin is a no-show. And many others. We have the British, again, that's why the Brits are weak and they will never start a war. With their defense minister, Mr. Lemy, you will never start a war. You will never dare to start a war with anybody. Not even with Albania, all right? Or Cyprus or something. Nothing. Why? You got Lemy. Have you seen Lemy? Have you seen him? Have you heard Lemy? So Lemy the same. Says Putin no-show. Now, in English, in America, when it's a no-show, that means he was supposed to show up, but he did not show up. It's not like he didn't show up. This is the meaning. Oh, no-show. That means he was supposed to show at work, but he didn't show. It's a no-show. Not he never been supposed to show someone. He no-show. He was not supposed to show up. I'm talking about Putin. This is how the people will portray Putin's no-show. I'm going to show you the main points the Russian delegations is going to negotiate on. I will give you live updates from the Russians. And again, the Ukrainians were going to portray this as not a serious delegation. Nevertheless, they are negotiating. Anything is going to come out of this? I don't think so. I think it's going to be a zero. Trump, on the other hand, will move things forward. So let's start with portraying the Russian delegation and Putin particularly as a saboteur of the talks. All right, here is a video I made 2 days ago where I said that at that time Zelensky said, I will not go to Turkey, after he said he will. And he said, I will not go unless Putin shows up. Putin never showed up, never said he will, never said once. Now, you have here Putin sabotages Istanbul's peace talks. And I said, Putin sabotaged. I said it, and I knew how these guys operate. And there were signs already that they will portray Putin not showing he sabotaged. But Putin never said he will. The problem is these guys are trying to dictate They try to dictate the format. I'm talking about Zelensky and his European baboons, not the Americans. They try to dictate. If you don't show up, you first have to do this. You have to, but they are not in charge. This is the ridiculous Zelensky, pathetic as Lavrov calls him in this article right here. Russia's Lavrov blasts pathetic Zelensky and rails against Europe because Zelensky is pathetic. Zelensky is losing. Zelensky is a clown, is unelected, and he says, I'm going to go over there to meet, I'm going to talk only with Putin. It's like, I would say, I'm going to go to India only if the Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, will meet me, or Mr. Jai Shankar. I would meet Dr. Jai Shankar much faster than Modi. But I'm just saying, who the hell are you, Emil? Who are you? The same here. I'm going to go and meet, only talk to Putin. They don't see you as a legitimate president anyway. Who the hell are you? Again, but the Europeans uphold him or holding up as he is the something that Napoleon wished to be. Such a courageous Zelensky for us, the Europeans. A Zelensky, a bazaar guy. All right, let's move. And let's see what Lavrov says. I didn't pick this article from DPA International. By the way, I have about 25 articles just to read the titles and all, go over them. I picked this one because the real one is right here. Lavrov blasts Zelensky as pathetic. But I want to show you how the media here, somewhere at the bottom, says something is not true. When Trump coined this phrase or this expression, the media, the US media, is the enemy of the people in 2015, and he was running for president in 2016, I was like, it's a little bit too much. Not the enemy. They don't tell the truth. But no, they are the enemy because they lie by omission, by interpretation, by narrative. There is a lie, and they direct the population, misinformed, disinformed. So I think he's 100% true about that, correct about that. So here it says, this is the Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, who did not travel to Istanbul for peace talks. He was not supposed to. He was not supposed to. Why? Because there are phases. When you go in, let's say you meet, unless you meet a whore, when you go in, you like someone. And you want to, it's a process until that person eventually will become, let's say, your wife or your girlfriend. You don't just go over there, grab her and bam, bam, bam. You don't do that, do you? You don't go, this is the price, even though you have to negotiate. You have to show in person. You have to, I give you this, you give me this. You know what I mean? The transaction. But it's a process. You go over there, can offer you a drink. How are you doing today? You look very good. You start slowly. And if you receive the message that, yes, I'm interested, then you go and you obviously evolve, develop something, a relationship. These guys think that they're going to just show up right now. That's how kings do, remember. They show up face to face and say, okay, man, bring a paper here. What are we going to do? Contract. Boom, boom, like Elvis Presley's contract in 1968, I think it was, for the 1990s, 1969, and Hilton Hotel in Las Vegas. It was done supposedly on the, and it's right there, on the, how do you call it, tablecloth. The colonel, the guy with the hotel, the mafia guys, they wrote it over there on the paper. Give me some on the paper, on the tablecloth. That was the contract. They signed it over there. Do you think this? But those are how they are. Entertainers, mafia, those guys. Not the presidents in a civilized world. So they are upset that Putin did not show up. Putin, Trump, a few guys, and they decide, okay, we do this, we do, okay, man, yeah, okay, like those guys in Europe. No, it doesn't work that way. And the Russians told them, we will dictate certain things. Why? Because we punch you in the face for 3 years and a half. We've been doing this, or at least you couldn't beat us. So let's go and see this article. As I said, I picked it for a certain reason. I will show you the reason. So it's here. The Russian state news agency reported that he described Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, as a pathetic fellow because Zelensky had demanded that Russian President Vladimir Putin be present at the negotiations. Correct. Now, this is how they say. Putin himself had proposed the direct talks between the two sides, but never specified whether he would attend himself. The Kremlin confirmed on Wednesday that he would not be attending. Do you want me to tell you? If I don't say I will be there, that means, what's the implication? And he says, Lavrov, there are many signs that neither Berlin, nor Paris, nor Brussels, and certainly not London, want peace in Ukraine at all. All right, I think that's correct. And then this little lie that these guys are saying is this, right here. Lavrov once again strictly rejected the initiatives pushed by the Europeans to secure peace in Ukraine. That is, for example, stationing troops there. Are you crazy? DPA, who wrote this one? Who wrote this one? It doesn't say at the end. Doesn't even say. Who wrote this article, man? Who is this baboon? Who writes the enemy of the people, right? So the peace initiative from the West is exactly what the West wants, to bring NATO in Ukraine. Does the person who wrote that article doesn't know that this is the main cause the Russians got in Ukraine is that? Jesus Christ. No, and this is how they are the enemies of the people. Because that's a peace initiative that the Russians did not agree with. They went to war because of that. What are you talking about? And if you say, well, what's wrong with that? I'm not going to go over all the 1991, 1994, 2008, 2014, 2015, 2021, 2022, January. I'm not going to go all these lies and all the process. You can watch my videos about that one. I will stay here about, 5 more minutes if I would tell you that. Nevertheless, that's a lie. That's exactly why these guys don't want that they got to war. So that's, again, let's see what the Russians say about the pathetic. And again, the top Russian diplomat has ridiculed the Ukrainian leader for demanding President Putin's personally attend talks in Istanbul. Yeah, things are not like that, Zelensky, whatsoever. So again, foolishly, pathetic person. And he says here, Lavrov criticized Ukraine leaders' demand that Russian President Vladimir Putin personally attend upcoming talks in Istanbul. Türkiye claiming that the issue was something everyone understands except him and his puppet masters. A pathetic person, Lavrov added, stating that Zelenskyy's senior comrades later explained to him that he shouldn't act so stupidly and that negotiations were needed. I think he's 100% true. All right. Now, Zakharova said something else right here. Who used the word prop, a clown, a loser, Zelensky. Okay, next topic. From the Hill. Ukraine's allies prepare to call Putin's bluff on peace talks in Ukraine. Now, Laura Kelly, you don't know squat. Whoever wrote this headline is the person, as I mentioned before, used Trump's statement, the enemy of the people. They are ready to call. Maybe it is not her fault, but again, they are preparing to call bluff on peace talks in Turkey. And it should be added, bluff with no reason. And they will be balanced or something like this. Next one. Zelensky describes Russia's delegation to peace talks as decorative. Now, I will show you what a delegation is. And there are the negotiators from, as I said, 2022, when they got engaged in negotiations in Istanbul last time. What's the problem? No, Zelensky wanted to impose by not having the power to impose. Why? Because he's not in charge. He's not in charge. He wants to be, but he's not. Rather, not as decorative. And here it is. Yes, I'm right here. I'm the Napoleon is fucking nothing compared to me. President Zelensky said on Thursday, Ukraine would decide on the next steps in talks with Russia after his meeting with Turkish President Erdogan. Zelensky told reporters in Ankara airport that the level of the Russian delegation dispatched to Turkey for talks was low rank and had an unclear mandate. This is what he says, because he wanted Putin, decorative level. Okay, you can call it that way if you want. Again, Associated Press. Ukraine's Zelensky said he is sending a delegation to Istanbul for peace talks with Russia. Excellent, fantastic, excellent. And he did send a delegation. He did send a delegation, and he showed up as well. Ukrainian President Zelensky said Thursday he will send a team headed by Defense Minister Rustem Umerov. He's a Tatar. You want to call him Ukrainian? He is like Zelensky, Ukrainian. To the Turkish city of Istanbul for peace talks with a Russian delegation. So the defense minister is the guy in charge. Okay, who else? Zelensky told a news conference in the Turkish capital Ankara that the Russian delegation doesn't include anyone who actually makes decisions. Yes, because that's how the way it works. And it worked the first time. That's why these guys are liars. We meet. We are the emissaries of the boss. We meet over here. Okay? They're not going to make decisions. These are bureaucrats, Zelensky. And you are a bureaucrat since you're not elected anymore. So they come over there. This is what they discussed already in Moscow and what you were supposed to have been discussing in Kiev. You bring over there, negotiate, discuss. You know how much you can go. You know how much you can't. You know the non-negotiable as well. And after that, you agree, you disagree, you go back to the head office, to your presidents, to whomever was elected. That's how democracy works. Not a bureaucrat makes decision. An elected official makes decision because the bureaucrat doesn't have the mandate of the people. The elected person has the mandate of the people. That's how democracy. So when he says nobody can make a decision, of course not. They come over and they go to Putin, and again they're going to meet again. They're going to discuss with Putin. Putin's going to say, no, this is no, talk about this one, pursue this one, and then they're going to schedule another meeting, and they're going to come again with the new homework done. And again, this is how it works in negotiations. Either the clown Zelensky doesn't know, or he pretends he doesn't know. So again, nobody makes decision. No, nobody. Nobody makes decision. Why? Because they're unelected officials. They don't have the authority. All right, let's move to the next one. CNN. Russia and Ukraine are due to meet, but with Putin a no-show. Confusion reigns. What? This is CNN, the enemy of the people. What do you mean confusion reigns? Here's what we know. But with Putin a no-show, I explained what a no-show means in a job. If you no-show, that means you are supposed to, but you didn't. If you say, well, I have a doctor's note, that's another no-show. No-show is no justification. But you were supposed to show up for work. If you're not supposed to, like right now, let's say, people will call Emil is a no-show in France. Emil no-show in Great Britain or in England. Or Emil is no-show in Romania. But was I supposed to? No, but you're a no-show. Unless I'm supposed to, then you can call it a no-show. All right? But this is CNN. CNN should know words. Okay, Ivana Kotasova, that's one. Get her name. And not only. So, no-show. Confusion reigns. What confusion? There's no confusion. Everything was clear. Putin has never said once he's going to show up in Istanbul. Next one. New Voice of Ukraine, UK Foreign Minister, this guy, the guy that Great Britain cannot win a war against Albania if they are attacked by Albania, because Great Britain is not gonna attack Albania, that's the guy, urges NATO to boost defense spending after Putin no-show in Istanbul. I will not make the case. Okay, Mr. French David Lemy, right there he is. You're never gonna win a war with this guy, man. You're never gonna win a war with this guy. Never. Let's go. Next one. This is I wanted to show you that the way these guys are making the news. Let me show you. Let's go to I have here. It says here, the Telegraph, Putin will not meet Zelensky for talks in Turkey. All right, and that was the Associated Press, the Telegraph, and they showed a different kind of article actually. So this was an article that I tried to find, that I had it before, and it comes, Zelensky would only meet with Putin in Turkey. That's it, in Turkey. All right, next one. Trump says Ukraine peace talks will not move forward without him meeting Putin. That's clear. I think that's obvious. So that's Trump's opinion. And what I wanted to show you is this particular article that I have here, where they change right here. This is from Associated Press. I picked it up today at 10:42. Where are you? Right there. Right, 10:42, and it says, right, Ukraine's Zelensky arrives in Turkey for peace talks, but Russia's Putin stays away. Like he was supposed to. Again, it's a lie. Again, that's what I wanted to show you before. Trump's, without me, nothing happens. Again, Ukraine forum, Trump says nothing will happen until he meets with Putin. Right there, he says, nothing's gonna happen until Putin and I get together, okay? And obviously, he wasn't going to go. Okay, he was going to go, but he thought I was going. No, I don't think so. He wasn't going if I wasn't there, and I don't believe anything's going to happen, whether you like it or not, until he and I get together. But we're going to have to get it solved because too many people are dying. Well, all right, you care so much about it. I want to hear Trump talking about Gaza. Too many people are dying. No? No? Why not? You know why. And when you hear Trump talking about Ukraine, too many people are dying over there, but he's omitting Gaza, that should speak volumes. So what's going on over here? He, in his specific style, Trump, without me, you can't have something, nothing. Everything is not, the water is not flowing, the sun is not shining without Trump being around. All right, you have to get used, be used with him by now. So yeah, it's true. He gets it. But he says, because I didn't show up, Putin did not show up. That's not true. You have a big head, Trump, but that's not the reality. The reality is Putin has never said, I'm going to go there. He never said, if Trump shows up, I'm going to show up. They never said this one. Now, it doesn't mean that nothing happened behind the scenes. And we had negotiations. But you don't show up overnight. I mean, can you imagine how much security, the details have to be over there in order to make sure that boom, 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 drones don't hit the presidential airplanes of everyone's gonna attending over there, like Zelensky, Trump, or Putin? It was clear. You can't do it overnight. It's like, I'm gonna go right now and buy grocery. No. All right, let's go to the next one, which again is with Trump. Trump on Turkey talks. Nothing will move forward until I meet with Putin. Go ahead, meet him. But what is Zelensky going to say? I don't want to do what you tell me to do. That you're going to do. And you're going to get to that video that I made. Trump will have to remove Zelensky and will say Zelensky must go, as they said. I'm talking about the United States of America. Slobodan Milosevic of Yugoslavia, then Serbia, must go. Saddam Hussein must go. The Taliban must go. Bashar al-Assad of Syria must go. Muammar Gaddafi must go. Putin must go. They always say someone must go. But who the hell are you? But he's not going to say Zelensky must go. So if you tell me that Zelensky is the Democrat and he cannot remove Zelensky, please. I mean, anyway, let's move on. Putin has missed opportunity to start negotiations peace, says NATO Secretary General on Istanbul. So this is a secretary. This guy who hates Romania, according to the former Romanian president Băsescu. He said this guy hates Romania, he said. I made it in a video and you can go and watch it. So again, Putin has missed opportunity to start negotiations. No, he didn't. He started negotiations with people that he sent, with a delegation. What are you talking about? Again, New Voice of Ukraine, NATO chief. He's the chief. He's not a chief, he's a secretary, goddammit. Russia sends a low-level team to Istanbul peace talks. That's a lie. That's the same delegation they sent the first time. He never said he's going to send the prime minister, the prime minister, vice president or whatever. Never. The foreign minister, Lavrov. But again, low level. Why? Because he's going to resonate with what this guy said. Where is he? Zelensky. He's going to say what this guy said. Come on, piece of shit. You know what I want to show you? But I want to show you chairs. Zelensky describes Russian delegation to peace as a decorative. And this guy says the same thing, right? Why not? Low-level team. Next one. The same baboon from Ukrinform. Putin missed opportunity offered by Zelensky, NATO Secretary General. My friends, there was no such a thing. It was not the right time. It was not the right format. It was not the right person over there. Zelensky should not represent Ukraine. But probably Putin would meet him to look in his eye and say, so where did that get you? And the guy was going to say, I tell you where it got me, which is Zelensky. I got about $2 billion in the banks. I'm a very important person. The history books in Europe will be written, in the Western world, will be written as I'm better than Napoleon. I'm a success story, Putin. Yeah, in the meantime, Ukraine is fucked. Ukraine nation is destroyed. A lot of people died and dispersed. But hey, I am a success from a clown. Look who I am. Look who I am. A respected guy. So from Zelensky's perspective, for him it was like biggest success of his life, this war. Biggest. He didn't lose anything. What did he lose? Tell me what Zelensky lost. in this war. Otherwise, he would have been a president of a corrupt country with $4,000 per capita a year. That's how much Ukraine had when he showed up. He's going to be a nobody over there. These guys in Western Europe would have never known what the fuck Ukraine was. Zero, or America, or North Korea, in Canada. But they all have flags now, and Ukraine, and on the stickers. Wait until these guys tell them, now it's time to look in Iran. And they're going to have Iran versus Israel, going to have the Israel flag. And tomorrow is going to have, I don't know, the, how do you call it, South Korean flag with the Chinese. When these guys dictate what is the, what you should pay attention on, then you have it. These guys dictate. So now they have the Ukrainians. Before they had the cancer, the other one had with Saddam Hussein the war on terror, the other one was the war on this, the war on poverty. These guys dictate what you should care, man. So right now is Ukraine. They all know. So Zelensky is a big success. Biggest success ever. Besides, he was a candidate. He ran for president for bringing peace to Ukraine. But it was not his fault. It was the evil Russians, who were the same guys. So you have a constant, evil Russians, and you have a variable who said, I'm going to go for peace, and all of a sudden they get to war. Why? The constant was the constant. The Russians, the Minsk agreements, you were the variable. You switched sides from a peace to war. I mean, please. Let's don't turn baboons. And let's see what the foreign minister, the only Ukrainian but no power, in the Ukrainian administration has to say about the delegation. New Voice of Ukraine. Zbichach on Russian delegation in Istanbul. Unserious and disrespectful. What are you talking about? Russia's choice for representative for talks in Turkey reflects a lack of seriousness about peace and shows disrespect towards the negotiating partners. Ukrainian foreign minister said, the Russian delegation demonstrated an unserious approach to peace because they didn't match your requirements. It's a show of disrespect to their partners in the context of the peace process. He added that during his meeting with U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, the two discussed everything that serves the cause of peace. So we are the good guys, obviously, and the Russians are bad because the Russians, according to Zbicha, NATO chief Rutte and Zelensky signed unelected officials. They said it's not serious. The media, the enemy of the brings it. Yeah. It's just a no-show. A no-show, my friends. Let's go to the next one. I got about 5 more. Here, Ukrainska Pravda. Russia approves delegation for talks in Türkiye. Putin not on the list. This is yesterday. You see that? Yesterday. He was not supposed to be on the list. He never said he will. Kremlin's leader, president for you, because your leader is unelected, this guy at least ran elections, Vladimir Putin has approved the composition of the Russian delegation for talks. Putin himself is not on the list. So where is the misunderstanding? All right, Putin's aide, Vladimir Medinsky, has been appointed as the head of the delegation. He led the Russian negotiating group in 2022. When Ukrainian and Russian delegations met. So where is the low level? Is the same guy, is the same person, is the same level of Putin said, we're going to continue the negotiations you left because of Boris Johnson in 2022. We're going to continue. What does it mean? And I explained you very nicely. If I take a piece, that's the negotiation. And then I stop. Well, I know, about from 2022 until today, the 15th of May, 2025. And then I let the jet go again. It's going to be the same people, the same. We continue the peace, the negotiation. Now, the jet could be stronger after that, but you continue what you started with the same people. Again, and this is the delegation. The delegation also includes Russian Deputy Foreign Minister, Igor Papapap, Chief of the Main Directorate of the General Staff of the Russian Armed Forces, the Russian Deputy Defense Minister Alexander Fomin. So the document also lists a group of experts for the talks. And it gives you right here the people. Now, this is what the guys wanted. And why should the Russians do what the Ukrainians tell them to do? We're going to send our delegation, you send your delegation. They wanted Putin to meet Zelensky. They wanted Zbicha to meet Lavrov. It's like I go and meet, I don't know, Lavrov. Let's talk about foreign policy, Lavrov. What? You know what I mean? Here it is. But again, you saw the delegation. That's the start of this article. Not serious. Why? Because they want to portray it as the Russians are not serious, sabotaging the peace talks. Therefore, Trump, you should go and bomb them. And Trump said, no, I know where you're going with this. And then we have the European Union. Obviously, European Union calls on Russia to show willingness to achieve peace. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Showing willingness. They're meeting over there. They met with Trump's envoy 3 times, Putin with Vitkov. 3 times already. What are you talking about? Next one, Sputnik. This is a live update from the Russians. Let's see what the Russians are going to do a refresh to see if they brought something more. Let's see what the Russians are saying. Live updates, Russia-Ukraine talks. Russian President Vladimir Putin proposed resuming direct talks with Ukraine in Istanbul. Russian 32 minutes ago. Russian delegation's talks at Istanbul talks to establish long-term peace. Head. The task of the Russian delegation at the Istanbul talk is to establish long-term peace and eliminate the causes of the conflict, which is NATO, mainly the 4 non-negotiable. Go and watch my videos about the Russian 4 non-negotiable, and I'm going to enumerate them real quick. NATO, no Ukraine. Demilitarization of Ukraine, that means you're not going to do any hanky-panky. Denazification, certain ideology has to go from the government of Kiev. And the other one, the recognition of the realities in the territory, which is Donbass, Crimea is ours, and we're going to have a little bit of control over a non-state from now on, which is going to be Ukraine. No NATO troops over there, that's the main one. So it's clear. This guy said it over and over. Russian presidential aide and head of the Russian delegation to the talks, Vladimir Medinsky, said on Thursday. That's the guy these guys are mentioning right here, the delegation. The task of direct negotiations with the Ukrainian side is to reach the establishment of long-term peace sooner or later by eliminating the basic root causes of the conflict. That means you gotta say NATO is gone, all that is gone. Let's see what else these guys have. The Russian delegation has considered the negotiations in Istanbul as a continuation of the peace process, which was interrupted in 2022. The head of the delegation said, do you understand that? It's clear. It's clear what that is. Man, Russia ready for discussions on possible compromise at Istanbul talks. This is 2 hours ago. Let's go to the next one. Russia-Ukraine peace talks live updates. This is from Russia Today. Let's refresh this one and see what do we get. The delegations are in place, but negotiations have been pushed out to after lunch, according to Moscow. That means when those guys are going to go to bed, maybe we're going to make another video on this one. But anyway, the first direct talks, they're good. So they're going to talk. That's excellent about it. Let's see whatever. This is the 15-20, so 3:20. The Russian team has headed out to the presidential office located in the Dolma where the talks of the delegations are expected to commence. So this is right there at 3 GMT. All right, so that's all they got here. Next, Kremlin named delegation for Ukraine talks, and this is the guy in charge actually, Vladimir Medinsky. He's 12 years old or something. The delegation will be led by these guys who headed the Russian team during the negotiation 2022. Again, it's the continuation, and they give you all the people here. All right, this says the team will be led by presidential aide Vladimir Papapap, who headed Moscow's side during negotiations with Kiev in 2022. That's it. Where's the surprise? Kremlin rules out Putin appearance in Ukraine peace talks. This is today. Direct talks between Moscow and Kiev are set to resume in Istanbul on Thursday. There is no chance that the Russian President Vladimir Putin will attend this week's peace talks between Moscow and Kiev in Istanbul, Peskov said. Peskov denied that there are plans for a presidential visit shortly after President Donald Trump said he might go into Türkiye on Friday. If something happened, direct negotiations are set to resume later on Thursday. So again, Putin last week proposed renewing the peace process that was aborted by Kiev in 2022, with Washington calling such contacts the next local What do you want? Vladimir Zelensky responded to Putin's call by declaring he will demanding that the Russian president did the same. And you're losing. Bye-bye. And this is the last article that I have. Russia ready for possible compromises. The same guy, Putin aide. Moscow is in a working mood ahead of planned talks with Kiev, top negotiator Vladimir Medinsky has said. All right, so this is, I can go on and on and on. The thing is like this. Pay attention how these guys are going to portray the Russians. And I showed you what the Russians said and what the Russians did. They coincide. That's why, for me, as a free person, free individual, and baboon as I am, I see in the Russians consistency, which is, I will punch you in the face, they will do that. I will give you $1, they will do that. Good or bad or evil, they will be consistent. The other guys are going to little things. You're not good enough, you are this, you're not serious, you don't want that, double face and all that. You might not like what I say, but the evidence is right there. The historical evidence, you can access it. You have a telephone, obviously, or you have a laptop, you have access to internet, you can find everything I said as being true. Now, you might not like it because you are not winning, but it's a different story. Different story. It's not about that one. My point is here is just to, I don't want to say unmask. I want to point out to you how these guys are making the media, how those guys are lying, how these guys are interpreting things, and give you what, according to my, how much what's going on behind the scenes, as much as I have information provided and acquired and information. All right, this is what's going on here, and indeed it's a fight between the guys in Europe who are activated by interest. What's up, meow meow? A cat. The guys in activated. You want to come here? And the Americans. And I don't know how far Trump can go, because Trump is limited in his. Remember, he wants to stop the carnage in Ukraine, but he's zipped about the. Maybe he's taking his time with Gaza. We'll find out. But the point is, my friends, there are some willing parties. At least they show interest, and the other ones, the Russians are not going to do what these guys tell them to do. They lost all trust in the West. What they do here? They lost all trust in the West. And who caused that? Well, some unkept promises and document side. And they feel very, very hurt about it and frustrated. And I will start with 1991, when those guys said, NATO will not move 1 inch eastward if you agree with the unification of Germany. The Soviets, Russians agreed, and Germany is unified. But these guys, where is NATO right now? At least 1,000 in straight line miles close to their border. And they want Ukraine now. And they tell me, oh, peace, that's voluntary. Well, how can it be voluntary? Like Ukraine can decide if he wants to be NATO, and this guy says yes. Well, it's a lie, because Ukraine was supposed to be neutral in 1994 in Budapest Memorandum. The Americans signed it. The Brits signed it. I don't know if the French signed it. The Russians signed, the Ukrainians then, the government of Ukraine, signed it, the neutrality. The neutrality was broken in 2014 with the overthrow of a legitimate government of Viktor Yanukovych through a coup. Again, and then these guys immediately, the democratic countries, the civilized, recognized the usurpers, the, I would say, traitors. Because if you overthrow a legitimate government with the help of outside agencies, you're a traitor to your country. You are. I mean, I don't know how you want to call it, but imagine in your country, let's say Canada, some people do the same thing with the help of China or Russia. How would that be called? Anyway, but even though, here it is, my friends. The Russians said, again, the Minsk agreements signed. The guarantors were France and Germany. And now they say, we're going to guarantee, again, remember they're crying right now, we're going to guarantee Ukraine's security. The same guys. The same guys who did not guarantee the security in 1994, did not guarantee the security actively, I'm talking on the paper they did, but in reality they didn't. You know, the implementation of Minsk Agreement 2015, which became international law, they didn't care about it. On the contrary, they said Merkel and Hollande, the president of France and the Chancellor of Germany, they said, no, they had no intention to push Kiev to implement the Minsk Agreement 2015 international law, it became. We had no interest. All we wanted to do is buy time for this situation. And the Russians like, oh, so you lied to us? Yes. So why would the fucking Russians trust these guys again? And they say, no, we're going to tell you how things are. Why? Because we did not collapse. That is the Russians' victory. They did not collapse. Now that they're winning, they're fighting NATO. Fighting what? About 40 countries? NATO plus European Union and the baboons in the Far East. I'm talking about South Koreans, Japan, who they are on Al Capone's plantation, Australia and New Zealand and some other baboons around the world. They're fighting at least 40 countries, and they did not collapse. And the world saw it and say, okay, how about we do this? And they enlarged BRICS, and they do a lot of, how should I put it, partnership, strategic partnership with North Korea, with Iran, with China. India is going to show up. So these guys know that they are dying and the other guys are growing. So what's going on here? Getting stronger. They have to discuss. But like this, with little chipaka, pazaka, paka. And on top of that, whenever you show at a negotiation table, you have to have something. You have to have something. And you show as an equal or you don't show as an equal. And the Americans always and the Europeans look down on everybody else when they negotiate. Why? Because we have the economic, we're going to impose sanctions on you, and you're going to die. Your population will be starving, and they will be having an uprising and overthrow you. This is their scheme. Remember, threats, blackmail, regime change, and direct intervention, attack. This is the US's diplomacy toolbox made out of 4 tools. What's going to happen? I don't think anything is going to happen. I think the Ukrainians will not negotiate in the Ukrainians, not the Russians, the Ukrainians. This is what I think. Well, I have a gut feeling the Ukrainians will be all point the fingers instead of being professional. They will be like, "Oh, you attacked us. Oh, you like in a conversation. You want to solve the problem or you want to tell me I'm bad? If you tell me I'm bad, I already know that. Fuck off. Tell me something new. So let's solve the problem. Bad guy, good guy, as you say. And nothing is going to come out of this. It's going to be zero until Trump get these guys in Ukraine and the guys in the European Union, smack their heads and send them to bed and talks to Putin. Nothing will happen. The problem is he can't do this with the leaders of these entities because they are backed by bigger interests. They, to a certain extent, are in charge of Trump as well. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.